They told us the Greys were aliens from another planet, from another star system, from another everything. But what if they weren't from out there? What if they were from right here? What if they were us? Not metaphorically, not symbolically, I mean future humans, evolved in the shadows of our own extinction, crawling back through time to try and fix what we're about to break. Some say they're from 52,000 years in the future. Others say 47,000. Different species, different timelines. Same goal: mess with the past before it all comes crashing down. And you've heard the phrase, the truth is stranger than fiction. Yeah, this one makes fiction pack up its things and leave town. Because according to some insiders, Black Project scientists, deep disclosure leaks, and more than one guy who probably got followed home after saying too much, we're not just being watched, we're being intervened with. Because something is about to go very, very wrong. And if these things really are us, then the collapse already happened, and we're living in the countdown. You're about to hear two names that almost nobody talks about, but once you do, you'll start seeing them everywhere: P-52s, P-47s. They're not aliens, not exactly. They're us. Two splintered versions of future humanity, two timelines, one trying to fix what's coming, the other maybe trying to keep it broken. According to alleged MJ12 leaks and Black Project insiders like Dan Burisch, both groups figured out how to move through time, and both are showing up here. P-52s, humanoid, empathic, genetically damaged, are supposedly trying to avert a full-scale collapse. P-47s, cold, gray, and clinically detached, might be from a branch that survived by adapting, not preventing. One is trying to change the ending, the other is trying to preserve it. And if you think this is just fringe speculation, the time traveler hypothesis has been around since before Area 51 was even public. It suggests the UFOs we keep seeing aren't extraterrestrial craft, they're us in reverse. Future humanity coming back through time with a warning or a mission, or maybe just cleanup duty. So ask yourself, if two versions of our future are showing up here, which one are we becoming? Hey, if you're still here, it means you're not just here for the surface level stories. You're chasing something deeper, like we are. So please do me a favor, hit subscribe, because if we don't build this community, the algorithm isn't going to help us, and no one's going to tell these stories at all. All right, onward. So here's the first red flag. The names P-52 and P-47 didn't come from a press release. There's no white paper, no official declassified document, no FOIA buried memo with the Pentagon seal on it. Instead, they just started appearing in leaked transcripts, in whispered testimonies, in the deep black corners of UFO history that make even seasoned researchers go, yeah, I'm not touching that. The most notorious breadcrumb? A guy named Dan Burisch, former microbiologist, alleged insider, possibly a disinformation plant, or possibly the real deal who got too close to the furnace. Burisch claimed he worked under Majestic 12, you know, the legendary secret group allegedly formed by Truman after the Roswell crash. He said he was pulled into a classified time viewing project called Project Looking Glass. And in that world, time wasn't just observed, it was bent, forked, broken, rewritten. Project Looking Glass is a fascinating topic. Let me know if you'd like to see a full episode just on this topic. According to Burisch, these P designations came from MJ12 briefing materials. P-45s, time-traveling humans from 45,000 years in the future. P-52s, a separate lineage, 52,000 years ahead. he described both as hominid, both as visitors, and both as deeply invested in what happens to us right now. But here's the catch. None of it is verifiable. There's no smoking gun document, no Pentagon confirmation, nothing you can frame and hang in a courtroom. And yet, you'll hear the same designations whispered by supposed DIA contractors, paranormal researchers who've never met, private insiders who've since gone dark, which leads to a brutal possibility. Was this a leaked truth or a fake leak engineered to discredit future whistleblowers before they ever opened their mouths? Because if someone was planning to talk about future humans showing up in black saucers to stop a planetary collapse, you'd want to pre-poison that well, wouldn't you? You'd make sure that by the time they got around to testifying, the public had already filed P-52 under hoax, internet lore, or Dan Burisch ramblings. That's not just information control, that's disinformation as preemptive self-defense. And if that's what this is, then whatever truth those names were hiding might be nuclear. Alright, let's meet the visitors, shall we? Not as flying saucers or flashing lights in the woods, but as biology, as mutated timelines in flesh. According to multiple whistleblower circles and echoed in deep black project rumors, there are two dominant types of future humans showing up in our era: P-52s and P-47s. Not just labels, allegedly species branches. The result of two different timelines, two different outcomes, after humanity went through something it didn't walk away from clean. P-52s, they're tall, not NBA tall, evolution tall. Their skin is thin, almost translucent. You can see the veins under the surface in low light. They move slowly, deliberately, like every motion is being measured. But the biggest thing, they don't talk. They don't need to. They're telepathic, high-functioning, empathic, and reportedly terrified of what's coming for us. One alleged MJ-12 quote, echoed by multiple deep disclosure sources, goes like this: "The P-52s claim to be descendants of humanity, here to prevent a catastrophic event that fractured their DNA. They're not here to explore, they're here to correct something. Something we did, or are about to do, that broke them on a cellular level. P-47s, a different story. They're shorter, grayer, emotionless to the point of alien. The classic gray alien stereotype, the big black eyes, the tiny mouth, the lack of facial expression. That's them. But they're not visiting from a galaxy far away. They're allegedly us too, just from a different timeline where we didn't recover, where we adapted, not healed, where we survived the calamity by stripping away the parts of ourselves that couldn't be carried forward. They are clinical, robotic, focused on data extraction, not diplomacy. So here's the paradox. The P-52s are trying to prevent the future the P-47s come from. And they're both here, walking the same Earth, studying the same species, watching us from the outside, like a broken mirror looking back at itself. And it makes you wonder, if you took humanity underground for 50,000 years, after a collapse, what would crawl back out? A savior? A scientist? Or a stranger who no longer knows what it's like to be human at all? So what exactly are they trying to stop? If the P-52s really are future humans, dragging themselves through time with mutated DNA and giant black eyes, what's the thing they're so desperate to fix? Let's break it down, because the theories aren't just wild speculation. Some of them have roots in real government documents and off-the-record testimony. Number 1, nuclear annihilation. The oldest fear in the book, and still the most statistically likely. During the Cold War, we came within minutes of triggering a full global wipeout. The only reason it didn't happen was because one guy on the other side of the planet didn't push a button. And while the red phone diplomacy might look better on the outside today, the US continuity of government plans still assume total nuclear exchange as a top level threat. Underground bunkers, shadow communication networks, full leadership succession protocols. You don't build all that if you're not expecting something. And if the P-52s are post-collapse survivors, maybe they're the ones who crawled out of those bunkers after 100 generations of fallout. Number 2, AI-induced sterility. Here's the more recent candidate. It's not just about AI taking over your job. It's about AI accidentally triggering biological sterility. Think massive dependence on synthetic biology, digital surrogates, electromagnetic disruptions to fertility cycles. Far-fetched? Not according to DARPA's biodesign program, which openly explored self-replicating synthetic organisms, or the studies into electromagnetic infertility from 5G and long-wave EM fields. Now tie that to what whistleblowers like Grush and Elizondo have hinted at, programs monitoring non-human biological degradation, possibly tied to environmental or technological interference. You have to ask, did we build ourselves out of reproduction? Then number 3, planetary collapse. Whether it's climate shift, ozone depletion, or magnetic pole reversal, the Earth isn't exactly stable. Some theorists link P-47s to subterranean adaptation, living underground post-collapse. Thin light, no vitamin D, big heads, no melanin, fragile frames. That doesn't sound like science fiction. It sounds like biology under pressure. And if future humans watch the skies go dark, yeah, they'd come back too. 4, dimensional breach. This is where things get weird. The ultra-terrestrial theory, which says we didn't just destroy our own world, we opened the wrong door. Think CERN, think HARP, think physics projects poking into realms they didn't fully understand. Bob Lazar once said the craft he worked on ran on gravity manipulation, stuff not just outside current science, but outside space and time. If that tech was real and we mishandled it, we might have created something you don't walk away from, something others had to come back to clean up. So pick your poison: fire, decay, collapse, or breach. And then ask the only question that matters. If someone in the future watched it happen, wouldn't they want to come back and stop it? Maybe that's exactly what they're doing. And maybe that's why they're not here to talk. They're here to intercept. Here's where it gets dangerous. If the P-52s and P-47s are showing up here, right now, then something's enabling it. And that something might not be a gift. It might be a Trojan horse. Let's talk time tech. Project Looking Glass. Dan Burisch, yes, him again, claimed he worked on something deep inside the US Black Project system, a device called Looking Glass. It wasn't just a viewer. It didn't just observe possible futures. It let users look down timeline branches, see probabilities, outcomes, and collapses. But the twist? The more they used it, the more the outcomes converged. No matter what variables they tweaked, the timeline started ending the same way, badly. Burisch said the government shut it down, not because it didn't work, but because it worked too well. It became a mirror they couldn't unsee. If that sounds like an isolated story, it's not. There's real documentation that the CIA explored Chronovision, the idea of remote viewing across time. In the 1980s, researchers like Joseph McMoneagle and Ingo Swann worked under the Stargate program, officially funded by the US Army to view not just present locations, but future events. One declassified memo even admits they had success with future targets. McMoneagle even won an award for this. Think about that. That means someone in government believed time perception was a usable asset. Now scale that up, add hardware, add energy fields, directed EM pulses, rotating superconductors. Pick your fringe tech theory. You don't need to invent a spaceship. You just need to bend where you're observing from. And yeah, let's acknowledge the folklore. The Montauk Project allegedly ran timeline experiments involving children and psychic triggers. Project Pegasus, with Andrew Basiago's claim that DARPA was teleporting kids through time and space in the 70s. Do we have hard proof? No. Do they all echo the same themes? Absolutely yes. Which leads to the core of the time traveler hypotheses. UFOs may be humans from the future using advanced time-space technology. Not aliens, not explorers, interventionists. And maybe not for us. Because here's the most chilling angle. What if the Greys aren't here for us, but for something we haven't done yet? Something waiting for us in the next few years. Something they can't afford to let happen again. Something we triggered the first time by building this tech in the first place. Alright, here's where the whole thing flips on its head. You'd think if these beings were future humans, they'd be unified. Same species, same goal, stop the collapse, save the past, go home. Nope, they're not on the same page. They're not even reading from the same damn book. Because what we're looking at might not be a rescue mission. It might be a civil war ripping through the timeline with us stuck in the blast radius. P-52s want to fix us. Their DNA is falling apart. Their society is on life support. They need us, the original branch, to not make the same catastrophic mistake, to take a different path, to give them a new ending. P-47s? They survived. Barely, but their world, bleak, sterile, emotionless, it's the only one they've got. And they're not about to let some interdimensional cousins rewrite it out of existence. Because here's the paradox. What if fixing the timeline erases the other future? And they know it. This isn't about saving us. It's about self-preservation across species, across epochs, across dimensions. P-52s want to overwrite the glitch. P-47s want to protect the glitch because it's all they've ever known. It's restore versus preserve, empathy versus detachment, humanity versus post-humanity. And you're ground zero. Because every choice we make, every technological leap, every war we fight, tilts the timeline toward one of them. And if you've ever wondered why UFO sightings spike around nuclear facilities, why abductions often involve reproductive experiments, why some craft seem curious and others seem hostile, maybe it's because we're not dealing with a foreign species. We're dealing with two versions of ourselves, locked in a silent war over which one gets to exist. And only one of them makes it out of this timeline alive. Forget lasers, forget death rays and tractor beams. The real weapon in this war isn't technology, it's you. More specifically, your reproductive system. Because according to the hybridization hypotheses, the P-52s aren't just tourists from a broken future. They're here with a shopping list. What they need? Your DNA, your hormonal stability, your ability to still actually create life. Because whatever happened in their timeline shattered that. Decades of abduction reports tell the same story over and over. Clinical environments, egg and sperm extraction, experiments with no clear scientific objective, unless the objective was reconstruction. And this isn't just hearsay. Psychiatrist Dr. John Mack, Harvard credentialed, studied hundreds of experiencers, none of whom wanted attention, fame, or money. What he found was psychological trauma, yes, but also consistency, down to the sequence of the experiences. Bud Hopkins, another abduction researcher, tracked cases that involved long-term reproductive interference. People who believed that they were being shown hybrid children, emotional bonds with beings that didn't quite look like them, but weren't fully alien either. They weren't being experimented on, they were being mined for something only we still carry. And if that sounds like bad sci-fi, consider this. In the Cold War era, the CIA openly studied PSI warfare and psychological destabilization techniques, not just for war, but for programming, for breaking people apart and reassembling the pieces. Now scale that to a species with 50,000 more years of tech and the need to reboot its own dying biology. This isn't invasion, it's harvesting. And not in the horror movie sense, in the desperate surgical, we don't have much time left sense. They aren't looking for contact, they're looking for compatibility. And here's the gut punch. Was all of it really just to create a third branch? Something more human than either side? Something with the emotion of the past and the tech of the future? Something that could survive whatever's coming without becoming what they already became. That's not just evolution, that's a reset. Okay, let's put it all on the table. There is no official government file, not in the National Archives, not in FOIA drops, that confirms anything called P-52s or P-47s. There's no Pentagon PowerPoint explaining hybrid timelines, no leaked photo of a future human in a containment pod. And Dan Burisch? Look, his testimony is fascinating, no question. But he's also one of the most controversial figures in UFO lore. No independent verification, no corroborating whistleblower, no documentation. For all we know, he's either a brilliant insider or the most elaborate counter-intel smoke grenade ever dropped on ufology. So if you're looking for proof in the conventional sense, you're not going to find it. But that doesn't mean the whole thing collapses. Because when you throw out the names and strip away the buzzwords, you're still left with something no one can explain. The patterns. Real people who've never met, from different countries, different decades, different belief systems, describing the same kinds of beings, same methods, same themes, same evolutionary signatures. Abduction research, especially from Harvard psychiatrist Dr. John Mack, confirmed a chilling truth. These people weren't delusional. They weren't lying. They weren't even believers before it happened. But they came back different. And they told stories about genetic tests, emotional downloads, and being told something was coming. You add in Bud Hopkins' casework, the CIA's interest in PSI warfare, the government's obsession with evolutionary leap theory, and suddenly, this stops feeling like sci-fi and starts looking like a pattern no one wants to admit is real. Because here's the thing, this channel doesn't chase fantasy, it chases broken truths, especially the ones hiding in plain sight. And maybe this isn't about future humans. Maybe it isn't about aliens at all. Maybe it's about something that started with us, but won't end with us. Let's stop pretending this is about contact. If these beings, whatever you want to call them, are us from 50,000 years in the future, and they're willing to risk paradoxes, contamination, reality fractures just to show up here, then the question isn't why now? It's what the hell did we do? What decision did we make? What weapon, what experiment, what mutation that splintered the future into monsters that can't reproduce? And mutants that barely remember what it means to feel. Maybe they didn't come to stop the collapse. Maybe they came to survive through it, to harvest the last traces of something they lost so long ago. They don't even remember what it's called anymore. Compassion, emotion, humanity. And if they're watching us, if they're walking among us, not to warn but to collect, then whatever we did, whatever we're about to do, we already sealed their fate. We just haven't sealed ours yet. So here's the only question that matters now. Which path do you think we're on? Because only one of them leads to light, and the other one? The other one's already knocking. Hey, if you made it this far, you already know this isn't just a story. It's a warning, or worse, a recording. And if you want this channel to keep pulling threads like this, without sponsors, without handlers, without gatekeepers, then yeah, you know what to do. Hit subscribe, hit like, and drop your theory in the comments. Because we need them all. And if we're going to figure this out, it won't be with algorithms. It'll be with each other. Want to go deeper? Patreon.com/Divergent Files. Extended episodes, early drops, and rabbit holes too unstable for the main channel. And if YouTube ever decides we're too much, we've already got a backup plan. The Divergent Files podcast is live, uncut, unfiltered, and broadcasting on all major platforms. More of the same, just without the gloves. Because this isn't just entertainment, this is a paper trail, and they're counting on you not following it. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for staying awake. And until next time, stay curious, stay human, and remember, you are truly appreciated.